Here's a strange thing about your brain. You'll agonize over a $5 coffee. You'll feel a little guilty buying it. Maybe you'll even skip it some mornings to be good with money. But when you're sitting in a car dealership, signing papers for $5,000 in extras you didn't plan on, you barely blink. Same money, wildly different reaction. Why? Today we're going to take apart one of the weirdest glitches in your financial brain. By the end, you'll have a name for it. You'll catch yourself doing it, and you'll have one simple trick to short-circuit it. Let's get into it. Picture the coffee first. $5. You hand it over, and somewhere in your mind a tiny alarm goes off. $5 whole dollars, every single day. That's like $35 a week, you think. That's almost $2,000 a year. You can practically feel the money leaving your hand. Now picture the dealership. The sticker says $32,000. The salesperson mentions an extended warranty for $2,000. Then fabric protection for $500. Then some paint package for another $1,500. And you think, hey, what's another couple thousand on a $32,000 car? Stop right there. That exact thought is the glitch. Your brain doesn't measure money in dollars. It measures money in percentages, in proportions. That $5 coffee feels enormous because, compared to a small purchase, $5 is a big chunk. But $2,000 in car add-ons feels tiny because compared to $32,000, it's a small slice of the pie. Economists have a name for this. They call it the magnitude effect or relativity. Your sense of whether something is a lot or a little is almost never absolute. It's always relative to something else nearby. And that something else, the number sitting right next to your decision, quietly rewires how the whole thing feels. There's a famous example researchers love. Imagine you're buying a calculator for $15. A friend says, hey, there's another store 5 minutes away selling the same one for $7. Most people will happily make the trip to save $8. Now flip it. You're buying a jacket for $125. Same friend says, 5 minutes away, it's $117. Suddenly, most people shrug. Not worth the trip. But it's the exact same $8. It's the exact same 5-minute walk. The money in your pocket can't tell the difference. Only your brain can. And your brain is comparing $8 to $15 versus $8 to $125. The proportion changes, so the feeling changes. Let that sink in for a second, because it explains so much about your spending. It's not that you're bad with money. It's that your brain is running a comparison program you never agreed to install. So why does this happen? Why would your mind work this way? Because for most of human history, exact numbers didn't matter much. What mattered was relative. Is this pile of berries bigger than that pile? Is this a fair trade, or am I getting cheated? Our ancestors didn't need to track dollars to the penny. They needed to judge more versus less in the moment. Your brain is fantastic at comparison and surprisingly clumsy at absolutes. That ancient wiring is still running the show every time you swipe your card. And here's where it gets expensive. Marketers and salespeople understand this instinctively, whether they've studied it or not. Think about how a big purchase is always presented. The salesperson shows you the most expensive option first, the loaded model, the premium package. Now everything else looks reasonable by comparison. That's not an accident. It's called anchoring. They drop a giant number in your mind, and every number after it feels small standing next to that giant. Or think about the words only and just. Add this for just $19 a month. For only a few dollars more, you can upgrade. They're shrinking the number's psychological size by attaching it to something bigger. They know your brain measures in proportions, so they hand you a flattering proportion. Here's a quick reframe that might sting a little. The bigger the purchase, the less careful most people get. Read that again. You guard your $5 coffee like a hawk, and you wave through thousands on the big stuff. It should be the opposite. The big decisions are where the real money lives. So what do you actually do about it? You can't delete this wiring, but you can interrupt it. Here's the one concrete trick. Translate every purchase into the same unit. Take it out of percentages and put it into something absolute and human. The best unit I know is time, hours of your life. Let's say, just for the math, you take home about $25 an hour after taxes. Use whatever your real number is. Now that $5 coffee costs you about 12 minutes of work. Honestly, for something you genuinely enjoy every morning, 12 minutes might be completely worth it. No guilt required. But now run the car add-ons through the same machine. $2,000 in extras at $25 an hour is 80 hours of your life. That's 2 full work weeks. 2 weeks of showing up, of meetings, of effort, all for fabric protection and a paint package you'll forget about by next spring. Suddenly, the coffee isn't the villain. The coffee was never the villain. The thing you barely questioned, the thing that hid behind a big friendly number, that's the one that actually cost you weeks of your life. When you convert everything to the same unit, the magnitude effect loses its grip. You stop comparing $8 to the price tag next to it. You start comparing it to the same fixed thing every time. Your hours, your effort, your one finite life. Here's another way to break the spell. With big purchases, never evaluate the add-ons as part of the big number. Pull them out. Ask yourself, would I buy this thing on its own, by itself, as a standalone purchase? Would I walk into a store and spend $500 on fabric protection? If the answer is no, then it's no inside the dealership too. The $32,000 car next to it doesn't change what the $500 is actually worth to you. And notice the feeling when it happens. There's a specific little voice that says, what's another couple hundred on top of all this? Give that voice a name. Call it the proportion trap. The moment you can name it, you can catch it. And the moment you catch it, you get to make an actual choice instead of letting the size of the nearby number make the choice for you. Quick gut check. Think about your last big purchase. A car, a vacation, a wedding, a renovation. How many small, while we're at it decisions got swept along? Each one tiny next to the total? Each one quietly real? That's the proportion trap doing exactly what it does. Not because you're careless, because you're human, running ancient software in a world built by people who understand that software better than you do. So let's go back to that coffee. The one you felt guilty about this morning. The truth is, your brain was sweating the smallest decision in your week while waving through the biggest ones without a second look. The $5 coffee feels huge and the $5,000 car barely registers, and now you know exactly why. Here's the part that should keep you curious. This proportion trap is just one of dozens of these quiet glitches running in the background of every money choice you make. You didn't write this code, but once you can see it, you get to decide whether to follow it, and learning to see it, that changes everything.